Hi, my name is Chris, and today I'll be teaching you how to do a cross halving joint. So, we'll quickly go over the tools you need. You need pencil, steel ruler, mallet, marking gauge, chisels, square, and a tenon saw. So, the first step is marking your timber. Before we do anything, first thing you always have to do with all your joints is do a face side and a face edge, okay? So, face side, face edge. And I'll do it on this bit of timber, so I've got a knot on here, but I've got an even bigger knot on there, so I will be doing it this side. Face side, face edge. Okay, so now you've done that, we'll put that to one side. The first thing to do with beginning to do your cross halving joint is to get your ruler or tape measure, whichever you have. Measure the length of the timber. So this length is 300 mils, so half 300 is 15 mil. And I just do a little mark there. Then what I do is very faintly square that line across. So that's halfway of our timber. You can do exactly the same with this timber, either lining it up flush, because they're both the same length, doing a little mark or getting a square, making sure that the butt of the square is right up against it. Up against the timber, sorry. Square your line across, and that's done for you and all. So the next step is we get our half bit timber, measure the width, so this is 45, okay, and then half of 45 is 22.5, so all we do is we come across here, make sure your ruler is lined up with this line, mark 22.5 and transfer it onto the other side, like so. As always, I always double check my markings, so I line up one edge like so, and yep, the markings, so that's now marked halfway in the timber. What we do next is make sure the stock is again right up against the timber and square your line across. Exactly the same. So that is your face now done, okay, all marked. Now it is going to be exactly the same on this bit of timber. Okay, so what I would do is again line it up, making sure that the face side is with the face edge, like so. And all I do is I'll just mark it across like that, mark it across like that. And then you can grab your square, butt it up against the timber, and square your lines across like so. Okay. So the next step is with your marking gauge. What we have to do is we have to find halfway of the thickness of the timber. Okay. The way to do that is two ways of doing it. The quickest way is getting your gauge, poking it into the timber taking it out, transfer it onto the other side. If it goes in the same hole, which this one nearly does, then it means it's centre. If it's not, then all we do is we just untwist it, line it up between the two holes you've made. As I said, this one hasn't got that much of a difference, but twist it up and then test it again. Okay, so now that is centre. Okay, what we can do is we can mark our shoulder lines down the face edge, and all I'll do is then gauge our line across. So we put it down. Sometimes the gauge will come undone if you, because sometimes they'll come a little bit loose. So always check before you do it. So again, make sure it's nice and tight. Super. So all I do then is put it on the face side, mark it down. So I've marked it, scored it down that side, turn it over, making sure that it's still on the face side, and again score it down. So we're going to be doing exactly the same as we did on the other side. Once you've scored it or marked it, get your pencil and just make your pencil line so you can see it more clearer, like so. And the same on the other side, like so. And then all we do is we just transfer our lines down to the bottom. Like so. So, once you've got to that point, you get your other bit of timber and you will repeat exactly the same process as you've done on that one. Okay, so we've already marked out the top. What we can do is we can just square a little bit of the shoulder line down. Again, make sure it's always on the face side, your stock, and score it down. Okay, again on this side, mark it. And then score it. Like so, and then transfer the lines down to your gauge mark or gauge line. So, you should have something, 2 bits of timber, looking exactly the same, marked out. And that is the marking done. So, the next bit is to you can either put it in your vise or put it in on a bench hook. I prefer to do it on a bench hook, as I find it easier that way, but it's whatever you find it easiest. Then all we do is we're going to just cut down on the inside of your pencil mark on that side and that side there. Okay, make sure it's always on the inside, not on the outside. Make sure you follow your line down, okay? So you don't want to go any deeper than that line there, okay? Let's do it on the other side. Again, on the inside of the line. Always double checking, like so. Okay, then what I do, or what you should do, or can do, is put a couple of rough cuts in the centre, down to line again. So I'm going to roughly put 3 in. Okay, like so. Okay. With this, you would also do exactly the same process on this one here. So the next step is you can either do them both together or do them one at a time. For demonstration use, I'm only going to show you the next part, which is the chiselling out part. So when you come to chisel out, always make sure you have a nice sharp chisel, okay? So even before you start a task, okay, go and sharpen them, okay? Because you don't want to be at this point then having to queue up to sharpen your chisel, okay? Because at the end of the day, you just want to get it done and out of the way and signed off and done to at least distinction level. So we get our mallet and our chisel. I always hold my chisels upright so it doesn't actually dig into the timber when I chisel it out. What I always do is I always start at the top and take bits out at a time. Okay, and then you work your way into the centre. Never ever start to chisel on that line there that you scored earlier. Okay, because if you do that, it will cause more splintering and it could damage your timber and your work. So chiseling upwards until you get down to the line. Okay, once you've done that, you can then turn your timber around, do exactly the same process, taking bits out at a time until you get down to the line that you have drawn or marked. Okay, you can put your mallet down once you get nearer to the bottom. So this is when your muscles come in again, and you just chisel the remaining bits out. Okay, and turn it around again. Start. At this point, this is when you start to clear up the inside of your housing. Okay, always remember to clear up your shoulder, your shoulders. So, okay, so I'm going to leave that on for the time being. Okay, then what you would do is you start exactly the same process on this one here. Okay, so remember, cut on the inside of the line. Use your thumb if you need to guide for guidance. And cut all the way down to your line. The same thing with this one. On the inside of the line. Way down to the bottom. Okay, and then putting your saw cuts your rough saw cuts in. Okay, so then exactly the same process. Clamp it into a vise. Make sure you can see the line. And then same process. Start to chisel out your housing. What you don't want to do is rush it. Okay, if you rush any of your work, there is a possibility, and highly likely, that you will end up getting it wrong and damaging the work where you would have to start again. Okay? So keep chiseling until you get to the line. Okay, then I'm going to turn it around. Working my way down to the line. exactly the same. Sometimes you can use your muscles when you get as close to line as you can. So again, I'm at the point now where I'm cleaning out my housing. Remember to always do your shoulders. Okay, one last bit. Okay, so once you've cleaned out your housing, you can then test whether or not it will fit or not. Okay? Sometimes it will, sometimes you'll need to check whether or not you need to cut any more off. So for example, this one here near enough fits, but I just need to take a little bit off. So, as you can see there's a bit of pencil mark still on there. Okay, and there's still a pencil mark on the side there. So, we still need to take just that little fraction off. Okay, the way to do that is you can either do it by chisel or saw. For this one, because it's so small, a small bit I have to do, I'm going to use a chisel. Okay. All I do, so I just line it up, and I just take off that smidgen. Sometimes you might need the mallet, but whenever you do use a chisel and a mallet, make sure that the chisel is always upright, okay? Okay, once you've done that again, clear it out. And then test it again. Okay, still a little bit more off, so I'm having a look and see where there's a pencil, and there's a pencil mark there. So again, take the pencil mark off, okay? But it is better to have it not just fitting than having it loose, okay? At this point, I can adjust it, okay, by taking off little shavings, by taking, yeah, as I said, taking shavings off. But if you cut it, if you cut it over the line and it's too loose, there's nothing really you can do. So again, I'm going to chisel it. And again, clear it out because you've chiselled some more off. And there we go. So it fits width-wise, it fits. All the housing is okay. It's still a little bit tight, but again, you can still adjust that. All you need to do is just take out a little bit more of the housing. Okay? But it is near enough there. That is the cross halving joint. Okay? In theory, it will end up something looking like that, as it says, across, where it will be all nice and flush on top.